the actual subject matter. So we've waited a long time for this, at least here in Mantra Central. But before we begin, obviously, we'll do our Mangalacharana. Arjuna and Parth, you're coming? Okay. So we'll do our Mangalacharana, and then we'll talk about what we just read in the sang, and then we'll talk about what we're going to read. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtang Stapitang Yena Bhutale Svayang Rupa Kadamayang Dadati Swapadantikang Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupang Sagrajatang Sahagana Raghunath Danvitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitang Savadutam Parijana Sahitang Krishna Chaitanya Devang Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhani Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtitya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All right. Before we begin, I want to offer my heart like flowers to my spiritual masters in my life, both Diksha and Shiksha, who, without their mercy upon me, I would have nothing to offer anybody, and I would be drowning in an ocean of misery. But by my good fortune, they have opened my eyes to a certain degree where I know a higher way of life, and I am making some silly little attempt here at trying to practice. But even this small attempt that I'm making has yielded great benefit in my life. So I offer them my obeisances. I want to offer my obeisances unto all of the Param Gurus, the entire Gaudiya Guru Varga or Parampara, who is from the Lord. This knowledge has disseminated down and reached us here. And finally, I want to offer my obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas, especially present here, and past, present, and future as well. So, as we've been going up every day, we do our bhajan. We go in a progression. We start from the chain of mercy that we can, touch, we can feel, like Nam Sankirtan, the holy name of the Lord, coming through the Vaishnavas, and then we glorify the Gurus, and then we glorify the divine personalities from which the knowledge of the Gurus is coming, like Nityananda Prabhu and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then we sing bhajans about Krishna and Radha. So today we actually sang the highest thing, and that's it for Radharani. It's said that Lord Nrsingadev, you know Lord Nrsingadev? As ferocious and powerful as Lord Nrsingadev is, he doesn't even have 1,000th of the power of just the emanations coming from the tips of the toenails of Radharani. This is how powerful Radharani is in comparison to Lord Nrsimhadev. So Radharani is the highest truth, and she is the ultimate goal. Her service is the ultimate goal for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Anyone coming in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, service at the lotus feet of Radharani is higher than service at the feet of Lord Sri Krishna. We serve, it's very famous, and a bit esoteric, but you guys are here. You'll probably hear this anyway. Online, I don't know if this is appropriate or not, depending on who's listening, but I don't think Krishna would let you listen if you weren't supposed to hear. But Bhakti Siddhanta, he, they're in Vrindavan, they sing bhajans time to time, and I forget the name of the bhajan. Something Shambhi Ladhe, do you know? Radhe Radhe Shambhi Ladhe. Shambhi Ladhe, Radhe Radhe. And they're saying, Radhe Radhe, give me Krishna, And so the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta, they were appreciating. And they said, oh, just see. And Bhaktisiddhanta says, yes, this is very good. But they have a completely different mood than we have. And they were surprised. Well, what is the difference? And he said, they're asking to give me Krishna. But we're only associating with Krishna because we want him to give us Radharani. So actually, why? Because if you really want Krishna, and if you really want to give pleasure to Krishna, which is the goal of bhakti, then what is the most dear thing to Krishna is Radharani. So instead of serving Krishna, like for instance, in mundane sense, I will get more pleasure if you serve my son and even my wife than myself. If someone serves me, that's very nice. But if they serve them, then I'm like, oh, that's very, very nice. Why? Because they're dear to me. So similarly, when you become a servant of Radharani, this is hundreds, thousands of times more dear to Krishna than serving Krishna directly. So this is, and similarly, Radharani feels the same towards Krishna. But we know that she is the ultimate pinnacle of bhakti, the pinnacle of what a divine service looks like. So we want to serve her and we want to be under her shelter. So you'll get maybe a taste of that when you reread this bhajan. But this is a high thing. You'll read the entire 18,000 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and you'll only find Radharani's name hidden, not even directly, in one verse. And it's covered. It's not even completely. It's not very clear. Yes, this is Radharani is, this is the gopi. Even though she speaks many verses in the 10th canto, it's not exactly clear who this gopi is. But our acharyas and many, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and others have, they've illuminated, yes, this is Radharani. But it's actually very confidential, which is why, these things I'm saying, it's, even Srila Prabhupada, he did not emphasize so much. He emphasized the worship of Radha and Krishna, but he didn't emphasize so much you could say, the element of dasyam to Radharani as the highest goal. Why? Because it's not cheap and it's not something that can just be done, it has to be, you could say, appropriately attained, rather than just jump. I'm a Radha. I'm a dasi of Radha, or something like that. So let's read the bhajan now. O Radha, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate. O Radha, all glories to you, Jaya Jaya, Madhava Dayate. O beloved of Madhava, Gokula Tarini, Mandala Mahite. Your glories are sung by the circle, the mandala. I think Mahite are the youthful maidens of Gokul. So your glories are sung by the circle of the youthful maidens of Gokul. And it says, Damodararati Vardhanaveshe. O you who, so Vardhanaveshe is, O you whose attire, your vesh, Vardhana increases, Damodararati, Damodar's affection. One's attraction, Damodar's attraction. Damodar is Krishna, who is bound by the rope, or bound by the belly. Or bound by the, yes. So, Hari Nishkuta Vrindavi Pineshe, O Queen of the Vrindavan forest, Vrindavi Pineshe, I think that. You are the pleasure garden, the Nishkuta, I think? No. What is it? Yes, I think you're the pleasure garden of Sri Hari. Hari Nishkuta must mean pleasure garden. And then Vrishabhanu Dadhi. So from the ocean of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, Nava Shashi Leke, you arise like the new moon. Lalita Saki, O friend of Lalita, Guna Ramita Vishake, and who captivate the heart of Vishaka with your charming qualities. So Guna Ramita. So Karunang Kurumai, bestow your compassion upon me. Karuna Bharite, O you who brim with compassion. Sanaka Sanatana, Sanaka and Sanatana, the two of the four Kumars, Varnita Charite, are describing your transcendental qualities and character. So this is a song glorifying Radharani. Very, very nice song by Rupa Goswami. Very popular bhajan. So we'll probably sing it again at some point, soon enough. Our bhajan tomorrow will go back to the glories of the holy name, and Nam Sankirtan, and then go again from the Vaishnavas up to, like that. But yeah, this is the highest thing actually. So very nice. Now let's get to the foundational literature in which we can even discover this highest thing, Srimad Bhagavatam. You read it all, Srimad Bhagavatam, Arjuna?
Yes, Prabhu, I've read it.
The whole thing?
No, Prabhu. Just
Okay.
few verses.
Few verses, okay. There's 18,000 verses, so you dipped your toe in the ocean of Bhagavatam. That's very nice. I've also only read a few verses. So, we're studying the Bhagavatam, and actually we're at the very end of the first canto. And the Bhagavatam is beginning today, because the whole first canto is the setting of the scene of the Bhagavatam. So many things happened after the Battle of Kurukshetra. So many instances helped set the scene for the Bhagavatam. So the whole first canto, there's a few philosophical chapters, chapters 1 and 2, though. But after the philosophical chapters, which kind of show the philosophical track for the Bhagavatam, then after that is all of the setting of the scene, so how the Bhagavatam came to be. So now we made it. We're now, Shukadev Goswami finally arrived on the scene after Maharaj Parikit. He sat on the bank of depending on how you understand, the Ganga or the Yamuna. The esoteric devotees would say the Yamuna, like Prabhupada had said, but also the text itself says the Ganga. And he sat on the bank of the holy rivers, and all the sages appeared, and he asked the sages, what is the, maybe I can find the exact verse, what he asked them. He said, what's that?
What should one do if somebody knows that they're going to die?
Yes.
What should be their duty?
He says, I now ask you about my immediate duty. What should be done now? And please, after proper deliberation, tell me of the unalloyed duty, the unmixed duty of everyone, the pure duty of everyone in all circumstances. So this is very important, because if you don't know what to do, then you just do a bunch of nonsense. And 99.9999999% of the living entities in this world, they're just doing nonsense, because they have no idea what to actually do. But Maharaj Parikit's doing a huge favor for us. He's asking, well, what is the duty of everyone in all circumstances? What's my immediate duty? What's the duty of everyone in all circumstances? And specifically of those who are just about to die. This is very important, because as Prabhupada has illuminated, we're all about to die. Whether now, actually, in a few minutes, or in 100 years. But really, we always have to face this. So these are incredibly important questions. What is it that I actually should do with my life? What is it that actually needs to be done? So, now, Shukadev Goswami has come on the scene, and it was describing him, how he comes in like a moon surrounded by the stars. Actually, I was thinking of this verse yesterday. Not that I'm very special, but I went to social services yesterday. And the social services, one, I'm a little embarrassed I even have to go to social services. But because we run a nonprofit here, it's actually very advantageous to go and utilize, and me and my wife, we put in significant hours in maintaining the nonprofit. It's advantageous to go to the city and let them know that that's what we're doing, and that please give us a break on certain aspects. So I went there, but usually, the crowd of people usually in these things it's usually the rougher crowd of society who's needing all of the aid, So, but I actually I think I was a breath of fresh air for some of the workers there. They're like, oh, because it's, a lot of time you're getting drug addicts and things like that. And I, not that I'm very special, but the crowd I was surrounding with myself was quite going through a rougher phase of life. I felt like a moon amongst stars in the social services, actually. And I was meditating on this verse. I was like, this must be. But imagine, they say Shukadeva Goswami, amongst all of the greatest sages of the whole world, he was like a moon amongst the stars there. Here I am in the ghetto of Syracuse, like probably the lowest crop of people. I mean, I don't want to generalize, but just the people who are struggling probably the most. And here I am feeling like a moon among stars here. But this Shukadeva Goswami was compared to the moon among stars among all the greatest sages of the whole universe. So how great is Shukadeva Goswami? So I was thinking about that yesterday at social services. But now let's read. The Bhagavatam's about to begin, and as soon as the next verse, this is the last verse of setting the scene, and then the Bhagavatam is actually about to begin. You could say, like the actual discussion between Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami. So you actually came at a really good time, Arjuna, and you guys are here at a really good time. So, Prashantamasina Makunta Medasang Muning Ripo Bhagavato Bhupetya Pranamya Mordna Bahita Kritanjalir Natva Gita Sunritayan Vapricha. Prashantam. So Prashantam means perfectly pacified, perfectly peaceful. Asinam, sitting. Akunta, without hesitation. Medasam, one who has sufficient intelligence. Munim, unto the great sage. Nirpa, the king, Maharaj Parikshit. Bhagavata, the great devotee. Abhyupetya, approaching him. Pranamya, bowing down. Mordna, his head. Avahita, properly. Kritanjali, with folded hands. Natva, politely. Gira, by words. Sunritaya, in sweet voices. Anvaprichat, inquired. The sage Sri Shukadeva Goswami sat perfectly pacified, intelligent, and ready to answer any question without hesitation. The great devotee Maharaj Parikshit approached him and offered his respects by bowing before him and politely inquired with sweet words and folded hands. I think, did we read this last time? Yesterday, right? I think we read this. We'll just read it again. So the gesture now adopted by Maharaj Parikshit of questioning a master is quite befitting in terms of scriptural injunctions. The scriptural injunction is that one should humbly approach a spiritual master to understand the transcendental science. Maharaj Parikshit was now prepared for meeting his death, and within the very short time of 7 days, he was to know the process of entering the kingdom of God. In such important cases, one is required to approach a spiritual master. There is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master unless one is in need of solving the problems of life. One who does not know how to put questions before the spiritual master has no business seeing him. And the qualification of the spiritual master is perfectly manifested in the person of Shukadeva Goswami. Both the spiritual master and the disciple, namely Sri Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Pariksit, attained perfection through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam. Shukadeva Goswami learned Srimad Bhagavatam from his father Vyasadeva, but he had no chance to recite it. Before Maharaj Pariksit, he recited Srimad Bhagavatam and answered the questions of Maharaj Pariksit unhesitatingly, and thus both the master and the disciple got salvation. We read this yesterday, but this is exceedingly important, which is why Krishna made us read it again. One, you don't approach a spiritual master for mundane things. Oh, how will I, how will I get all of my material desires fulfilled? Or, Guruji, please bless me so that my job goes nicely, or my finances go nicely, or my marriage goes nicely, and all the things people of the world want. This is not. Unless you really want to solve the main problems of life, you have no business approaching a spiritual master. What are the main problems of life?
Lack of spirituality.
Yes, that's the ultimate root of our problems. But what are the 4 problems that everyone is facing in the material world? What do you think, Arjuna?
4 problems.
Yes, everyone is facing.
Lust.
Yes, these 6 enemies, but they're definitely problems. Lust, greed, anger, illusion, pride, envy. Yes, definitely a good answer, but not the one I was looking for. What are the main existential issues everybody has to deal with? Yes. Birth, and then on top of birth, you have no idea what your duty is. Like Maharaj Pariksit, he's here, and you're like, what do I do? You're born here, and then you're in this awkward position. You're dependent on parents and others, and what to do here. I don't know what to do, and some people have to guide you, and your parents guide you up into a certain point, and then you might realize that I don't think they know what to do either. And yes, and then then you need help. Then you need a spiritual master to guide. Well, what needs to be done? What is the duty for all people in all circumstances? It needs to be known. So this is an existential crisis: birth, and then the awkwardness of just being here and like, well, what's the point of this? Why am I here? What's going on here? Next, yes, disease. Since you're born. Then the environment around you also is giving you problems. From the moment you were born, there's some infection or something somewhere trying to take you down, or willing to take you down if you want to associate deeply in these things. And then, even if you can combat all diseases, what's that? Jara, yes. Old age. Then, at some point, the body's breaking down and it can't last anyway. And then eventually disease is definitely going to overtake it. It can only last so long, and then finally death. That's why this is the last part. Well, what is the duty for one who is about to die? So we must know our duty here. These problems are all present. So the answer to what do I do about the the foundational issues of life? Who am I? Why am I suffering? What is the duty of all persons in all times? This is what you approach a spiritual master about. So, also, you need to approach a spiritual master because we don't know. We're all confused. Like Arjuna, the whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken because he was confused about his duty. And please tell me, I'm now a soul surrendered unto you. Please tell me which will be most auspicious, which will guarantee auspiciousness, the best thing to do. So this is what we approach a spiritual master. And a spiritual master the relationship is not in one of Diksha. We see here, there's no Diksha happening between Maharaj Pariksit and Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami himself didn't receive Diksha, and he is not giving, okay, you want to know the question, sit down for the fire yagya, and I'll initiate you. Let me give you some mantra. The mantra is given, that's also part of the process. But the real enlightenment, the real relationship between spiritual master and disciple is one of question and answer. The disciple, if he's wise, he will humbly go, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya Upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. You've heard this verse? From us probably, we say? You've heard this verse before? So, Krishna is talking about spiritual knowledge in this point of the Bhagavad Gita. And he's saying, if you'd like to understand that spiritual knowledge, you must go pranipatina, humbly, before one with the knowledge. Pariprashnena sevaya. You must ask them questions, which is what Maharaj Pariksit is doing. He's in the process of pariprashna. And then sevaya. And then render them service. And by this process, upadekshanti te jnanam, they'll reveal that knowledge to you. Tattva Jnaninas tattva darshana. Because they're the holders of that knowledge. They see the truth and they can impart that truth to you. So one, you have to approach someone who sees the truth. And two, you have to go humbly and you have to ask questions. If we don't have a lifestyle of approaching a guru or an advanced spiritual soul in our life with questions, we'll never achieve perfection. We'll never know what to actually do. So this has to be done. And if this is not happening, and this is what the Bhagavatam is this very powerful process of questions and answers between Maharaj Pariksit and Shukadev Goswami, the Shishya and the Shiksha. So this is how enlightenment happens. It's not necessarily by a ritual of Diksha. But the process of Diksha is very useful to enhance this. But it's not necessary. It's not the foundation. The foundation is this: approaching a spiritual master and asking him questions. And as Krishna says, humbly, which Maharaj Pariksit is already doing. And then also in the spirit of service. Maharaj Pariksit, the best service you can do is hear from the spiritual master, hear from the exalted Vaishnava, who is the moon among stars in the room that you're in. Maybe don't hang out in social services all the time, but find the moon amongst the stars of your location, and you should see how can I hear from them? How can I make advancement? Please help me. Help shed light. Who's the moon amongst the stars in your life? How can I have shed light on these existential questions for me? What is it that I should really do? What's the eternal duty of all people in all circumstances? Do you want to know? Yes. So okay, now we'll read the answer will come in many, many verses. So you have to study Bhagavatam to fully know. But we'll start to get the answer. So Parikshit Uvacha Aho Adya Vayang Brahman Satsevya Kshatra Bandhava Kripayati Tirupena Bhavadbhistirthaka Kritaha. Parikshit Uvacha, the fortunate Maharaj Parikshit said, Aho, Adya, today, Vayam, we, Brahman, O Brahman, Satsevya, eligible to serve the devotee, Kshatriya, the ruling class, Bandhava, friends, Kripaya, by your mercy, Atithi Rupena, in the manner of a guest, Bhavadbi, by your good self, Tirthaka, qualified for being places of pilgrimage, Krita, done by you. The fortunate King Pariksit said, O Brahman, by your mercy only, you have sanctified us, making us like unto places of pilgrimage. So this is very, very, very nice. All by your presence here as my guest. By your mercy, we, who are but unworthy royalty, become eligible to serve the devotee. This is very nice. So let's see what Prabhupada says. Saintly devotees like Shukadev Goswami generally do not approach worldly enjoyers, especially those in royal orders. So if you find yourself in all of these realms of great material success, don't expect the great sages to enter those places. This is not where they want to go. Maharaj Prataparudra was a follower of Lord Chaitanya, but when he wanted to see the Lord refused to see him because he was a king. For a devotee who desires to go back to Godhead, two things are strictly prohibited: worldly enjoyers and women. This is for men. For women, it would be the opposite association. Therefore, devotees of the standard of Shukadev Goswami are never interested in seeing kings. Maharaj Parikshit was, of course, a different case. He was a great devotee, although a king, and therefore Shukadev Goswami came to see him in his last stage of life. Maharaj Parikshit, out of his devotional humility, felt himself an unworthy descendant of his great Kshatriya forefathers, although he was as great as his predecessors. The unworthy sons of the royal orders are called Kshatriya Bandhavas, as the unworthy sons of the Brahmins are called Dvija Bandhus or Brahma Bandhus. Maharaj Parikshit was greatly encouraged by the presence of Shukadev Goswami. He felt himself sanctified by the presence of the great saint, whose presence turns any place into a place of pilgrimage. So this actually is giving you a clue on what real pilgrimage is. What is real pilgrimage? Tell us, Bart. Sadhusanga. Being in the presence of a sadhu. Being in the association of a saint. This is real pilgrimage. Everything else you do, I'm going to go to Vrindavan, I'm going to go here. But if you don't find yourself in sadhu sangha, you're not really going on pilgrimage. Actually, Krishna, this idea is mentioned very much later in the Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, where Krishna and the first time after 100 years that Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan all met, at least publicly, was in Kurukshetra. And so they all came there and met. And Krishna was... all the sages also came there, just much like this. The sages, they go where something wonderful is about to happen. So they all go to Kurukshetra. And Krishna, he says himself, how fortunate we are that you've all arrived. For you, for you, the great sages are like places of pilgrimage, and only by seeing you is one purified. For those who go on pilgrimage and don't seek out your association are no better than cows and asses. So Krishna is saying, if we go on pilgrimage only for the sake of visiting a temple or getting blessings, or what's the thing you guys do when you go to the altar, like this or something like this, right? This is not pilgrimage. This is not really getting the blessing. What is really getting the blessing is finding yourself in the association of a sadhu. This is real pilgrimage. You should not go to, I want to go to this region. There's a really nice Shiv temple here. There's a really nice temple over here. Real pilgrimage is going to where the sadhu is and then taking darshan there. So this is actually real pilgrimage. So he felt that he just went on, you're making us a place of pilgrimage. You've actually sanctified us, purified us. Anyone who contacts us will become pure now, just by your presence. So how powerful is such a personality? So let's see what else he says. He says, Yeshang sang smaranat pungsang sadya shudhyanti vaigraha king punar darshana sparsha pada shochasanadibi. Yesham, of whom? Sang smaranat, by remembrance. Pungsang, of a person. Sadhya, instantly. Shudhyanti, cleanses. Vai, certainly. Griha, all houses. Kim, what? Puna, then. Darshana, meeting. Sparsha, touching. Pada, the feet. Shocha, watching. Asana adibi, by offering a seat, etc. Simply by our remembering you, our houses become instantly sanctified. And what to speak of seeing you, touching you, washing your holy feet, and offering you a seat in our home. So simply by remembering a sadhu, a great, saintly personality, your home will become instantly. That's why every day, what do we say? Dhyayan struvangs tasyaya shastri sandhyang Vande Guru Shri Charanadavindam. What does it mean? You don't know. You guys all understand Sanskrit? What's that?
I know the meaning of second line.
What is this? That's the whole prayer. Yasya prasadat Bhagavat prasado Yasya prasada nagati kutopi Dhyayan stuvang stasya yashastri sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanadavindam. What does it mean?
For my obeisances up to 3 times a day.
Yes, mostly. Right? Yasya prasadad, one who gets your mercy. This is the Gaurvashtakam. We're singing to Sri Guru, the saintly personality that we've found ourselves under the shelter of in our life. If we haven't, then we must find. This should be our goal of life. If we get your mercy, Bhagavat prasado, we can get the Lord's mercy. Lord's mercy will come. Yasya prasadan, meaning yasya aprasadan, without your mercy. One who does not get your mercy, nagati kutopi, he can not find advancement anywhere. Kutopi, anywhere, no advancement for you. If you don't get the sage's blessing, sorry, not for you. You don't get any spiritual merit. It's not something you do on your own, or I'm going to chant my way to perfection, or things like that. Yes, you can if you get the blessing of a sadhu. Otherwise, nagati kutopi, nowhere. Dhyayan stuvangs tasya, dhyayan, meditating, stuvangs, praising, tasya, unto him, yashas, and glorifying him, yashas tri sandhyam, at 3 sandhyas, Vande Guru Shri Charanadavindam. I offer my obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Guru. Why? Just by remembering him, everything, your whole house will become instantly sanctified. So that's why 3 times a day during the Sandhya, you don't know yet because you're not initiated. But that's why the purpose of Diksha is to have the Gayatri mantras. And one of the Gayatri mantras, 2 of the 7, go to Sri Guru first. Then, and actually, the one of the 7 is not necessary. And that's the actual Gayatri mantra. Even though it's a great Vedic mantra, that one is, and Krishna says he is that mantra in Bhagavad Gita, it's actually not necessary. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't get initiated into Gayatri mantra. This became added by Bhaktisiddhanta later on to appease the Brahmin class, actually. So we chant the Gayatri mantra, but this isn't the necessary mantra. This gives realization of the spiritual essence of life. But 2 of the 7 Gayatri mantras aimed at the relationship with Sri Guru. Then 2 of the next 7 are aimed at the relationship of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then the 2 of the next 7 aimed at the relationship of Sri Krishna, and then also hidden in there is Radharani. So we should understand how important it is to remember the sages and gurus. By just remembering them, our house will become sanctified. And now what's to speak of seeing them? If you actually get their association, touching them, if you get the chance to serve them more intimately, maybe, some people, they'll massage their guru or something like them. Or washing your holy feet, getting the opportunity to wash the feet of a great sage. So in Vedic culture, when an elevated personality comes to your home, you would wash their feet, and you'd at least put the water on one's head. And many will drink the water, even drinking the water. This is to get even more blessings. And offering you a seat in your home. And if a saint actually comes to your home, how fortunate you are. Just by remembering them, you're fortunate. That's why every day, 3 sandhyam, minimum. Dhyayan stuvangs tasya yashastri sandhyam. We should be remembering such a personality. But if even such a personality, we don't have that in our life, the whole goal of life is being missed. You must find such a personality in your life. And you must have a relationship with them. Not that, this saint here, I really like him. That's very nice. But do you have any relationship with him? How will he know to, give you special affection? What are the chances of him ever coming to your home? like this. Very, very rare. But if you somehow or other can develop a relationship with such a sadhu, how fortunate you are. Because everything will be sanctified. So, purport. The importance of holy places of pilgrimage is due to the presence of great sages and saints. This is what I just kind of quoted Krishna saying. Krishna said the same in Srimad Bhagavatam, and now he's saying, Prabhupada said, it is said that sinful persons go to holy places and leave their sins there to accumulate. But the presence of the great saints disinfects the accumulated sins, and thus the holy places continue to remain sanctified by the grace of the devotees and saints present there. If such saints appear in the homes of worldly people, certainly the accumulated sins of such worldly enjoyers become neutralized. So Prabhupada is saying what makes a holy place isn't that a holy thing happened there. It's that the saints all go there to appreciate the holy thing that happened there. But it's them who actually make the holy place a holy place. Actually, what happens is we go to holy places and we seek blessings and salvation, and we leave our sins there at the holy place. And if the saints aren't going there, just by the saints present, they neutralize all sins. It's like a great disinfectant of the material world. So if such saints appear in the homes of worldly people, certainly the accumulated sins of such worldly enjoyers become neutralized. We've seen this in Shastra so many times, where somehow or other a saint or a sage visited the home. Actually, let me tell a quick story. You know Ramanujacharya. It was his appearance day. Was it 2 days ago now? And Ramanujacharya, he would go on tour, and his disciples would always want to serve him. And so there was this one couple who was very poor. And the wife's name was Lakshmi, and I'm forgetting the husband's name. But Lakshmi had a problem. In town, there was a very, very wealthy, sinful person, because usually people who have lots of wealth, they become very proud and sinful, who kept approaching her, even though she's the wife of a Brahmin, and kept approaching her because she was very beautiful, and saying, please, let me offer you this, this, and that. And, obviously because he had malevolent intentions with her, wanted to associate with another woman's wife. This is very degrading culture. So he, another man's wife. So he kept approaching her, but she's very chaste. She would, disgusting. I don't want anything to do with this. But, so anyhow, one day though, they realized that Ramanuja was coming to their village, and that they, and what would like to come to their home. So she was like, oh my goodness, Guruji, Ramanujacharya, he's amazing, a great saint, great personality. Just by remembering him, our home will be sanctified. What's to speak if we can invite him to our home and serve him? So Lakshmi was meditating, and she said, I pride myself in being a very Dharma Patni, a wife who is preserving Dharma. But for the sake of Guru Seva, this is a greater Dharma. If I go to that merchant and I fulfill his desire, he will give me everything we need to serve all of Ramanuja and his disciples. This is like, oh my God, she's going, what is she doing? So, what happened? Lakshmi went to him, and before she went there, she was disgusted by him. She was disgusted by the whole thing. It went against her, the very fiber of her being. But for the practice of Guru Seva, she said, I must. This is the only way I know how we can serve all of his disciples. So all the men are, I see the look on Divyanshu's face, and I know when I heard it, I was like, oh my God. My wife, yes, and her husband wasn't home. Couldn't even get the blessing of her husband. So she goes and prays to her guru, please, let this be for your service. And she begs him. And then she goes and approaches this yucky merchant. And so the merchant is very happy. He's surprised. She said, this Lakshmi I see at the market who, she's here. So one of his servants comes and gets him. And so he runs down immediately. He says, yes, what can I do for you? And she says, my guru and all of his disciples are coming. And I would like to, have a great feast and I'd host them. But for that I need many, many resources. And you said you would give me anything if I fulfill your desires. So please, I am asking you, please do this one thing, and I will come back and I will fulfill all of your desires. So he was like, oh, he's very wealthy. This is no problem. Oh, just like 100 or so disciples? Yes, I will do everything. No problem. And he runs and he arranges everything for her. So she runs back and she says, I must go cook now, but after they're here, after everything is finished, I will come back and honor my word. So, so imagine. All the men, you cannot think, you can't even fathom having so like this. So she comes back and now, she's cooking and has so many things, but her husband comes home. And he says, how did you get all of these items? We're poor, we don't have anything. How could you have done this? So then Lakshmi, she goes to him very humbly and she says, my dear husband, I pride myself in being a dharma patni to you, and to being a chaste wife. But I know for the sake of Guru Seva, that even there are higher dharmas than this. And this merchant who always gives me trouble at the market, I've approached him for all these things. And I said I would fulfill his desires later on, afterwards. So, what do you think her husband did? What do you think?
Ate it. No, I'm kidding.
No. Depending on what he was thinking, I don't know what he's thinking.
What?
What he got?
He said he doesn't know what he's thinking.
He glorified her. He said, oh, you are the most ideal wife. For you know the highest meaning of life, the true meaning of life. That service to Guru is above any other moral dharmas of this world. Just see how, the Vedic culture, just see how,
It's like dancing.
and he's dancing in ecstasy. And I think he went and like touched her feet and tried to get her blessings because of such an exalted personality she is. But listen, the story it doesn't have the ending that you might think. So then Ramanujacharya comes and all of his disciples come and they serve them so nicely with all of these ingredients. And they were very pleased. Wow, such nice service. How did this couple procure all these items? How did they do such nice service? So then they go and they talk to Ramanujacharya and they tell him what happened, how they got all the items, what they did. And Ramanujacharya said, go and honor prasadam and take this. And he gave his own remnant. It's rare to get the remnant from such a personality. So they ate his remnants, and he said, I would like to meet this personality. Take me to meet him, or maybe bring him here to meet me.
A disciple with him.
What's that?
He sent a disciple
Yes.
with him.
That's right. Thank you. He actually sent one of his disciples. He said, take this prasadam and also take some of my remnants and then go and offer it to him. And tell him we want to thank him and give him a prasadam. Yes, that's it. So they gave him, this prasadam. And then so he eats the prasadam. He's, it's very good. But he took the remnant of Ramanujacharya. It's high class, And just by eating that remnant, his whole heart was purified. And so Lakshmi and her husband went and approached him. Said, yes, thank you so much for allowing us to serve our Guru. The husband said, my wife, she said she would fulfill any and all of your desires for this service. So what is it that you would like her and us to do, or us to do? But the merchant was purified by the remnants of Ramanujacharya. So he said, I am such a sinful person. You're the ideal Brahmins, you're the ideal people. I can't even believe that I ever gave your wife such trouble before. I'm so sorry. Please take this as a gift from me. I don't want anything. I don't want any service from him, because he ate the remnants of Ramanujacharya. And he said, I would just like to meet your guru. So they were delighted, and they took him to meet their guru. And then he became a great, purified, saintly person, and he actually became a great devotee of Ramanujacharya, a great disciple of his. So just see how powerful just the anything to do with the saint. Just a little food remnant turns a completely sinful, wicked person who's wanting to enjoy the wife of another. How it purified him. And then made him a pure devotee, actually. So this is why he's saying, simply by remembering you, our house has become instantly sanctified. And what to speak of seeing you, touching you, washing your holy feet, and offering you a seat in our home. So, therefore the holy saints actually have no self-interest with the householders. The only aim of such saints is to sanctify the houses of the householders. And the householders should feel grateful when such saints and sages appear at their doors. A householder who dishonors such holy orders is a great offender. It is enjoined, therefore, that a householder who does not bow down before a saint at once must undergo fasting for the day in order to neutralize the great offense. So, how powerful the association of the saints are. Even if you remember them, how powerful. Now what's to speak if you get to see them in person? What's to speak if you get to touch them in service? What's to speak if you get to wash their feet or offer them a seat in your home? Meaning, this should be the goal of your life. This should be the goal of your life, to get such great fortune. We prioritize so many things. I'll be greatly fortunate if this amount of money comes in. I'll be greatly fortunate if my relatives have some favor towards me. I'll be very fortunate if I get a nice wife or nice children. This isn't good fortune. We pray against this. Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam bhajagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishvare Bhavatad bhaktir haytuki tvai. Nadanam. What does it mean?
No money.
No money. Najanam.
No.
What is it?
No birth.
Not birth. It's referring to progeny and followers. So like no birth of like children and followers, or even extended relatives. The jana. Your like your jan. Your sangha. Nasundarim. Yes, no beauty, no beautiful partner. No beautiful partners. Kavitam.
Just a poet poem.
Yeah, like a poet or like a distinguished, a scholar, recognized person for one's literary brilliance. Now kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Oh Lord, Jagadish, kamaye. I don't desire these things. Mama janmani janmani shure. My desire is janmani janmani. Birth after birth. Ishware. Oh Lord. Bhavatad.
Yours.
Saying, let there be. Like, let there be. Bhaktir.
Your worship.
Yes, bhakti. Devotion unto you. Ahaituki. Pure, unmotivated. Without any motivation. Without any sense of what's in it for me. Tvai. To you. That's what we pray. We don't pray for, all these things. We pray these things. How can I remember your devotee? Just by remembering your devotee 3 times a day, how fortunate I'll be. What's to speak of seeing them, touching them, washing their feet, offering them a seat in your home? This should be the goal of life. How we can get sadhu sangha, and how we can, if we're a householder, how can we get them in our home? We're so fortunate here. We've had so many amazing personalities in this home. This is our wealth here. This is the wealth of this home. This is the wealth of my wife and I. is that we have different relationships in sadhusanga. Amazing. The most cherished people in the world, to us, the greatest saints and sages we know of in this world, we have a relationship with them. This is our wealth. Anything else is it's a nitya. So let's read one more verse and then we have to go. Sanidhyate mahayogin patakani mahantyapi sadyo nashyanti vaipungsang vishnori vasure taraha. Sanidhyat, on account of the presence. Te, your. Mahayogin, O great mystic. Patakani, sins. Mahanti, invulnerable. Api, in spite of. Sadhya, immediately. Nashyanti, vanquished. Vai, certainly. Pungsang, of a person. Vishnu, like the presence of the personality of Godhead. Eva, like. Sura itaraha, other than the demigods. Translation. Just as the atheist cannot remain in the presence of the personality of Godhead, so also the invulnerable sins of a man are immediately vanquished in your presence, O saint, O great mystic. So if you want to know how to overcome all sins, you might say, I'm a rascal. I can't control my mind. That's why Raghunath, Raghunath Das Goswami, he sings, Asaj cheshta kashta pradavikata pashali biriha prakamang kamadi prakata pathapati vyati kadai gale badva hanye hamiti bakabir vartma pagane kurutvang putkaran avatisa yatha tvang mana itaha. He's like, where's the harmonium? Yeah, I know you always play this on the harmonium. So I'll tell you what that means after we read Prabhupada's purport. There are two classes of human beings, namely the atheist and the devotee of the Lord. The devotee of the Lord, because of manifesting godly qualities, is called a demigod, whereas the atheist is called a demon. The demon cannot stand the presence of Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. The demons are always busy in trying to vanquish the personality of Godhead. But factually, as soon as the personality of Godhead appears, by either his transcendental name, form, attributes, pastimes, paraphernalia, or variegatedness, the demon is at once vanquished. Or in Kali Yuga, the demon is transformed, like Jagai and Madhai. Meaning the demon, actually, the ego as a demon is vanquished regardless. It is said that a ghost cannot remain as soon as the holy name of the Lord is chanted. So sometimes in the basement, especially part, we have, this is a place where some subtle entities might gather in the home. So you can chant. When we always do, sometimes, especially my wife gets scared. Abhiram starts talking to some personality or something. You could always you always chant. So just like the ghostly sins are at once, the ghost cannot remain as soon as the holy name of the Lord is chanted. The great saints and devotees of the Lord are in the list of his paraphernalia. And thus, as soon as a saintly devotee is present, the ghostly sins are at once vanquished. That is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. One is recommended, therefore, to associate only with saintly devotees, so that worldly demons and ghosts cannot exert their sinister influence. I actually have a story about this. It's kind of disturbing and funny story.
We've all heard it.
I don't know if they probably have not heard this story. So I'll tell that after I tell you what that verse means. It's saying asach cheshta, asat or mundane, also can translate out to wicked, because by associating only with mundane things, asat things, you'll eventually degrade to the point of lust, greed, anger, illusion, pride, and envy, and you'll act wickedly in this world. So as such cheshta which will culminate in wicked deeds, but any mundane or temporary deeds which will lead us to wickedness. Pradavikata pasha libiriha. Here in this world, iha, they're like torturous, dreadful ropes. Prakamang kamadi. And licentiously, prakamang, kamadi, their source, is coming from, lust. But all the source of lust in all of their results, kamadi, lust, which leads to greed, which leads to anger, Abiram, which leads to anger, lust, greed, anger, illusion, pride, envy. They all come one after one. So if we have some lust in this world, this is what's going to happen. But we all say, oh my God, I have so much lust. Is it not? Do we not have lust? Is it not coming? So what do we do? Prakamam kamadi prakata pathapati vyati karai. They're coming to me like aggressors on the open road. And they're assaulting me. Like if you ever been mugged. Have you ever been mugged? I've never been mugged either. But my dad once got beat up and mugged. He told me the story. He was on the bus and he was in a very tough part of a city called Newark. And it's not a very good city, even back then. And he got beat up and mugged and, stolen all this stuff. So like that, they're coming. These lusts are coming. We might even want to do good deeds, but in our mind, so much lust is there. I want this and I want this and I want this. So what to do? Bhyanti Kurai. Was that my wife? Aviram. So, and then he says, Galei Badva. My neck has been bound by these ropes of these mundane deeds that I'm doing out of lust. Galei Badva Hanyeham, and it's killing me. I'm being killed. Galei Badva Hanyeham iti. So thus, Bakabid Vartamapagane. Bakabid, the killer of Bakasura, Vartamapagane. The Vartama is like a path. Vartamapa is the protector of that path. So those who are protecting that path, who are the Vaishnavas, Kurutvang, you should loudly, Futkaran, call out. Kurutvang Futkaran. What did I say? Avati, for protection. Sayatha. And as a result, they, Tvang Mana Ita, oh mine, they will deliver you. So you have to call out to the great devotees. Just like by remembering one purifies one's house. But if you call out to the devotees, therefore you'll definitely remember them. This is how you can purify. So these verses are getting at. The invulnerable sins of a man. Invulnerable are like seemingly like indestructible sins of a man. We can't stop this. Arjuna, he says, what is causing me to sin almost by force? And it's this lust alone, Arjuna. Krishna says. But what do we do about it? We have to remember that which is beyond lust. These saintly persons in our life. And by memory of them, calling out to them, we can overcome this. And I'll give you an example of how I was living in a temple as a brahmachari at one point. And I was brand new, I didn't know anything. So I had, so many bad habits still, and I had so many, I was so lusty and filled with all kinds of, yucky things inside of me. But I was living in a temple as a brahmachari, and I'm living in the attic. And because I'm not so, pure, there I was having a problem. I would do my morning program with the devotees in the temple, Mangalarati, but then afterwards I would fall asleep in the morning. And when you fall asleep in the morning, it's said to not be so good. You'll be susceptible because the ghosts are retiring from their evening, and they usually will go to the vulnerable places, like those sleeping in the morning and things. They'll go, So anyhow, I was sleeping in the morning, so I guess a ghost found it to be me very vulnerable. And so what happened is in a dream, there was a shaved-headed Brahmin-like personality with a large sika. And he embraced me, like licentiously embraced me. And I look over my shoulder in the dream and I see this like shaved-headed and sika, and it's like embracing me, and I'm like, ah, like very fearful of such a thing. And I woke up out of my dream and I found like drooling, I'm like, oh my God, And so I was really freaked out about that because it was very very visceral. And then I went and I told the monk downstairs. His name is Krishna Balaram. I don't know. You ever meet him in Tawako? He's still in the community, but he's not really around so much. But he was the temple commander at the time. And he said, oh, okay, I know what to do. Come. So he took some achaman and he chanted prayers. And he went around and he took some holy articles from the worship of the deity, and he sprinkled them all around the room. And he chanted prayers consisting of the holy names of the Lord. And he said, everything will be okay now. And he's smiling to me. And I said, okay. And it never happened again, actually. Because I was living in the attic, actually. And the attic is another place where, ghosts, they go to like the dark, cold crevices. That's where they exist nicely. And they can't be in, light, wonderful environments, especially pure environments where the Lord is being chanted and discussed. But they can go to the dark crevices of places like the basement. So you have to be a little extra careful. You're fine. We've been for some years like this. But you can always chant the holy names of the Lord. So anyhow, that was my experience, actually. I had like a little ghostly, there must have been a devotee ghost who was not, not complete or had some weird lusty desires or something like that. And he went to attack me, who was susceptible because I was still quite sinful, in that point in my life. So he was like, oh, this is a perfect candidate for me. So anyhow, yes, these are some just examples in my life of how just anything, by the presence of a saint, especially, and even just by the presence of this devotee downstairs, he purified the situation, and this never happened to me again, actually. So, so this is my little story about that. So Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you guys appreciate. I hope we all get the association of saints in our life, and we prioritize this. This is very important, and we should see the good fortune that will come if we do.